based off of the 5-point system, we are going to decide 2-Bit versus Kane. Who would win? And like I said before, we're going to find out that it's closer than you think. So starting off with number 1, who spent more time in the streets? Obviously, because 2-Bit is older than Kane, he spent more time in the street. But maybe we would have to figure out exactly what age did 2-Bit into the streets. I'm pretty sure it's out there. I'm pretty sure I glossed over it. If you're aware of the point in OG Power where it was revealed a little bit of 2-Bit's backstory and when did he really jump off the porch, let me know in the comment section. We know that Kane was out there from very young. Lorenzo and Monet had him out there from very young. We know he did a little bit of juvie time, things like that, right? Kane, short for Hurricane. He earned that name while he was in the streets. So for number 1, who spent more time in the streets? You could say that 2-Bit spent more time in the streets because he's older. He's a couple years older. But then you realize that one does not smoke the other in this category, making it closer than you think. So I would say, I mean, you have to give it to 2-Bit, right? But it's closer than you think. So number 2 would be, who is the more aggressive person? We've had a little bit more time with 2-Bit, right? A little bit more time. But at the same time, it kind of balances itself out because even though we only gonna have Kane as we know of for 4 seasons, he has been one of the main characters and a fan favorite, and he's had quite enough screen time. So that can mirror and make it even with the extra seasons that we've seen 2-Bit and those extra scenes that 2-Bit has. And over the course of what we've seen from 2-Bit that has not been a part of this reaction, and what we've seen in the reaction, it's enough to compare to what we've seen in the reaction for Kane and what we know of that was not in the clips, right? And once again, it's closer than you think. Based off of the things that we've seen, I'm really gonna say 2-Bit still edges Kane out. 2-Bit edges Kane out because Kane seems to play around a little bit more than 2-Bit. 2-Bit has always been serious. He keeps that scowl on his face. Hardly ever smiles. We've seen all of Kane's teeth more than once. We've also seen Kane be involved with Effie romantically. Diana is his sister. Monet is his mother. It seems that he been around women more coming up than 2-Bit, it seems like. And that adds to the aggression that 2-Bit has. We have never seen 2-Bit associated with no woman. So when it comes to category number 2, who is the most aggressive person, you have to say 2-Bit. 2-Bit wins. Now, when it comes to number 3, who put in more work in the streets? Okay? Who put in more work in the streets? Here's the thing, right? Because Kane has more screen time, you could say. Technically, we seen Kane put in more work in the streets. Technically, we seen Kane put in more work in the streets. But let's remember that at the end of Power, 2-Bit was doing it at a higher level than we've ever seen Kane get to. So it's like, Also, what makes this harder to decide is the fact that we do not know what 2-Bit is up to right now. But we know that he seems to be pressed for money. He seems to be pressed for money. So pressed that when he ran into Tariq, he had to take his car off of him. Right? A car that will play a role in season 4, of course. Possibly the introduction of Kane versus 2-Bit. So currently where it stands in power, Kane seems to be ahead. But when we talk about who put in more work, they both got kills. Kane killed a cop. 2-Bit never killed a cop that I know of. Has 2-Bit killed a cop? No, right? So, you know what? In order to make it harder for 2-Bit to win, I'm going to say when it comes to the case of who put in more work in the streets, I'm going to say Kane edges 2-Bit out. Even though at some point, Kane will have to catch up to the level that 2-Bit was on before he went to jail. Going into number 4 now, between Kane and 2-Bit, who is more intelligent / who is more strategic, right? This is not an easy thing to unravel, okay? We all know that at some point, 2-Bit was suggested to be highly intelligent. He was also named after a judge, okay? At the same time, Kane has grown. He went from being a total idiot in season 1 to learning from his lessons. And now going into season 4, he will be the smartest he's ever been. He's going to keep his head on the swivel even more than the previous 3 seasons. Even though I still feel like his emotions is going to cause him to make a major mistake, probably surrounding Effie, right? But who is more intelligent? Who's more strategic? I think that the power writers over the course of the show have shown Kane to be the more strategic person right now. And I'm going to base this off of the fact that we do not know what 2-Bit is doing right now. And we just don't know. We don't know enough of what 2-Bit is doing now. We have to base it off of what we've seen. And we've seen 2-Bit be a little bit more of an underling and have that kind of energy and kind of being comfortable with that, even though he has shown that he does want to come up in the game. But I just feel like we've seen more strategic things, even if it was like F-boy stuff. Like when Kane set up Tariq for the murder of Ramirez, things like that, or Kane replacing the work with Sugar, right? And then giving the same work to his family, basically selling it back to them, right? Kane has, in my opinion, been more strategic over time than 2-Bit. That's number 4. But now, number 5. Who is the most experienced shooter? Yo, it's hard to say, man. It's hard to say. I believe that number 5 is probably the most difficult thing to rank who did more than who won, because we're talking about who's the more experienced shooter. We don't know. We don't know, bro. Like, I guess you could say Kane. What do y'all think? I mean, I guess you could say Kane. But we seen 2-Bit put in work. It's hard, man. And thus, this is the point of this video. Kane versus 2-Bit is closer than you think.
Can't teach that shit, nigga. Come on. That's God get that. That's touch my ink. That's on the dome, nigga.